Hey everybody, this is D Hunter, bringing another action figure review. Today, we're going to look at the McFarlane DC Multiverse Batman vs. King Kong 3-pack. This is based off the comic series Justice League vs. Godzilla vs. Kong, which was sort of riding off the popularity of the recent King Kong vs. Godzilla movies. I got this from the McFarlane toy store. It's available plenty of other places. You get a very large King Kong figure, you get a 7-inch Hush-style Batman figure, and then you get a 3-inch version, which will be more in scale with King Kong. So a lot of possibilities here. So let's take a look at the packaging. As you can see, DC, Legendary Comics, Multiverse, Batman vs. Kong, DC's Monsterverse. Here they are in the package. King Kong has 2 heads. I see a collector's card, display stand, and 2 different scaled Batman figures, which is a really interesting idea for a 3-pack. Justice League vs. Godzilla vs. Kong, the comic series, which is kind of ridiculous, but kind of cool at the same time. On the back, here's an image of Batman with King Kong looking right at him. And of course, at the bottom, there's a barcode if that helps anybody. So with no further ado, let's open it up. And yes, you already know, I got one of them to open and enjoy, and one to keep unopened in my complete Batman-related action figure collection. Alright, now that these figures out of the package, here they are with all their accessories laid out. We have a display stand, a collector's card, and 1 alternate head for Kong. In this video, we're going to take a look at each of the figures individually. We'll check out their accessories, height, and articulation, and we'll compare them with a bunch of other relevant action figures. Hope you guys enjoy. Let's start off with the small Batman, then the large Batman, and then Kong, and see what's up. And I would say it seems probably certain they're going to make a similar pack with Superman vs. Godzilla. Before we check out Batman, let's look at the non-character specific accessories. We have the typical McFarlane display stand. I would imagine it's intended for the 7-inch Batman. And then we have the collector's card. It's that image of Kong looking right at Batman. Batman vs. Kong from Justice League. Backside, there's a description. If you want to read that, pause now. So this is Batman. Nothing too spectacular going on here. It's basically a sized down version of the Hush Batman, and it has far less articulation and detail. Head is that angry face from the 2-pack Hush versus Batman. You can see the giant Batman logo, no oval. Utility belt, all that good stuff. I mean, it looks good, and it can sometimes be useful to have a small Batman. I'm into the 6 and 7-inch scale, but having Kong makes perfect sense. It's a clever way to release 2 different scales in 1 pack. As far as articulation goes, head can rotate side to side. Shoulders are on sort of a ball joint, which is kind of cool. Waist and the legs go forward and back. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points of articulation. The cape in the same pose as the 7-inch figure. They released these 3-inch page punchers with comics before. It's literally just a re-release of the previous Hush Batman they made in this scale, but that one was with the blue and gray color scheme. Here's this Batman, next to the most recent 3-inch scale figures they've released. We have a Dark Knight's Metal 2-pack, and a Dark Knight Returns 2-pack. Here are all the Batman figures they've made in this scale, 5 of them so far. And these guys all call themselves Batman as well. And tell you the truth, every single one except for Terry McGinnis is Bruce Wayne here. So here's a look at the Batman figure. This is your 7-inch scale Hush Batman, and it's one of the best Batman figures McFarlane made. In fact, it actually won Best Batman Figure by the fans, and that was specifically the blue and gray version. But this one is really cool as well. They've made, I don't know, 5 or 6 different variations of the Hush Batman, and we'll check that out shortly. In the meantime, let's take a look at this guy. He does have a semi-angry face. The mouth is a little bit open, but not nearly as bad as the one in the Hush 2-pack, but at least a little bit different from this single release as well. Semi-short-eared cowl. Biggest complaint about this figure would be the head and neck being one solid piece. Makes it really hard to do head swaps. The articulation's fine. You can see it kind of looks bad on this guy. There's a big gap there. Yeah, I can kind of point down, minimize the gap, but then he's looking down. Bright yellow utility belt, pouches all around, giant bat symbol on the chest, no oval, sort of modern Batman, although I guess at this point it's 10 plus years. Double jointed elbows, double jointed knees, cape sort of floating in the wind. Seen that numerous times with this guy. It's a good Batman figure. I like him a lot. It's nice to add another variation of Hush to the mix. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt. Looks pretty good. White lenses, a little expression in the brow of the cowl. The gap is pretty annoying. That is honestly kind of unforgivable. Is it just mine? Is it a quality control issue of mine? Or are they all like this? Drop me down in the comments below if you have this set, if yours has a similar type gap. Still, it's a pretty good head sculpt, and it's a good Batman figure. The Hush Batman is a little bit on the taller side of things. From bottom to top, standing about 7.4 inches tall, which is going to translate to just under 19 centimeters. And if you go to the top of the ears, about 7.6 inches tall. And for its articulation, start with his head. He can rotate side to side. He can look up and down about that much. Down a pretty good amount. Shoulders on a ball joint. Goes about 90 degrees. Up, down, around. He's got that butterfly ring between his shoulder and chest. Increase the range of motion. Cover the gap that would be there. Bicep cut. Double jointed elbows. His wrists can rotate and it's hinged. Ball joint his torso. Rotate around. Forward and back. Another one in his waist. Rotate around. Forward and back. Between the two, pretty good range of motion. Legs complete as a splits. McFarlane style hip joints. Rotation is pretty good. Legs go forward about that far, maybe a little bit more to the side. Back not much. Double jointed knees. And his ankle. Forward and back. Rotate. Tilt rock. And toe articulation. Here's this Kong Hush Batman next to the single release. Main differences are the gray is darker and the belt is a brighter yellow. Both pretty cool. Here are all three versions of the black and gray Hush Batman. We have the super angry face from the 2-pack, semi-angry face from the Kong pack, and the normal face is a single release. And then here he is, next to a couple more versions of the Hush Batman. The blue and gray, which was voted McFarlane's best Batman figure, and then the sketch version. And here he is next to the darker blue and gray Batman, although technically not from Hush. It's the exact same figure. This is from the Batman Who Laughs. His eyes are red because he's been infected. Two-Faces Batman and the Vampire Batman also share the same Hush body and cape. The first appearance Batman figures also share the Hush body, and all these figures utilize a lot of parts from the Hush Batman figure. Hugo Strange's Batman, Three Jokers Batman, Batman's Green Lantern, and the Batman vs. Spawn Batman. I don't have the Batman vs. Spawn Batman. I'm assuming it's the same figure repainted, and I'm sure that one uses the same body as well. And here's a look at the King Kong figure. Probably what most people are waiting for. We've already seen the Hush Batman, both scales, more than once. So, mixed bag on the Kong figure. I know Todd McFarlane doesn't really like breaking up sculpts with a bunch of articulation, but you could at least give us some articulation. This guy has articulation in the waist, a ball joint. The wrists are pretty nice. I think the shoulders, the neck, and that is it. Would have been nice to have something in the hip and the knee, even if it's just single jointed. The elbow as well. King Kong doesn't have to be necessarily super articulated, but gorillas move quite a bit. They use their feet, etc. It's a good looking Kong, and you know what? If you want to, you can use him for Gorilla Grodd as well. So let's take a closer look. Start with his head. This is the angry head, this is the open mouth. Face looks good. He's got the brown top, gorilla. Fur is all sculpted. The paint is mostly dark brown with a little bit of sort of highlights of light brown. He's got some damage on him, some scratches, both there and there. Ball joint here, and it moves. Okay, maybe it's not a ball joint, just a regular waist swivel. We'll go over the articulation shortly, but it is kind of disappointing. Okay, not kind of, extremely disappointing. Open mouth. And a closer look at his face and head sculpt, which looks pretty good. And then here's the figure, broken down as far as he could go, with all of his removable parts detached. Now let's look at his heads. He has two of them. One with a regular expression, and one angry, screaming, possibly even biting. Here's his regular head. This one has the normal expression, and I think makes for a pretty good Gorilla Grodd. And here's his angry head. This would be great for action scenes. Now let's check out his height, and he is a big boy. From bottom to the top of his head, standing about 11.8 inches tall, almost a whole foot tall, which can translate to about 30 centimeters. And for his articulation, which is quite limited, which makes me think that's what we're going to get with the inevitable Godzilla release. Still, it'd be cool to have those two guys together from their DC comic appearances. So, starting with the head. Really, that's all I can do. Rotate around. I thought it was on a ball joint, and it sort of is, but that's all it can do. Shoulders, they go up. They go down. That is it. They cannot go out. His wrist can rotate. It's also hinged, so sort of standard McFarlane articulation there, but substandard everywhere else. And then a traditional waist swivel. I mean, I'm not asking for toe articulation, but you could at least give me a little bit of something down here. He's pretty much pre-posed. It'll be difficult to have him do anything besides maybe holding that 3-inch page puncher Batman, which is about all I guess he's supposed to do. Now let's check him out. Next is some other King Kong and Gorilla figures. Here he is, next to 4 different versions of the NECA King Kong figure. And here he is, next to Mr. G. This is a third-party, unlicensed Gorilla Grodd in a Blackgate prison jumpsuit. And here, next to a DC Direct Gorilla Grodd. Then, with McFarlane's Injustice 2 Gorilla Grodd, the Platinum Chase variant was in silver armor. I got 3 of those to use as Gorilla Grodd's soldiers and his Gorilla army. And now, next McFarlane's Page Puncher Gorilla Grodd Mega figure. Next, with 3 different McFarlane Cygor figures from their Spawn line. And finally, next to a couple of NECA Gorilla aliens. Here's King Kong, next to McFarlane's Titan Joker. This was their tallest figure they've released, and it looks like King Kong is pretty much exactly the same height. Titan Joker might have him by like 0.1 inches with the tip of the mohawk. Here's a look at King Kong holding Batman on the tallest skyscraper in Gotham City. Here's a look at all 3 of these figures. 7-inch scale Hush Batman, 3-inch scale Hush Batman, and then I guess 3-inch scale King Kong. And here's the entire Justice League facing up against King Kong. So overall, it's a cool action figure set, but it definitely has its flaws. So the small Batman, not really a fan of those small figures. They look kind of crappy, but they're small, and they have their purpose sometimes with figures that should be larger like King Kong or Anti-Monitor. Of course, the Hush Batman, that's my boy there. Love the Hush Batman. This one has a semi-angry face. Easily deserves a 7.5 out of 10. Blue one, 8.5 out of 10, if not higher. And then King Kong. The articulation is just very disappointing. He looks good. He's enormous. Feels sturdy. But with the price, it should have been a fully articulated figure. Or at least halfway articulated compared to usual. This has sort of basic points of articulation, and that is very disappointing. Gonna have to give King Kong something like a 6, because he does look good, he's big, and it does work for Gorilla Grodd. But a disappointing version because of the articulation. I don't know, maybe I'm overscoring him, maybe I'm underscoring him. I feel kind of neutral about it. Like, it's not horrendous, but the articulation is, but the figure itself still looks decent, is cool, and it is definitely the largest King Kong figure that I have. So this is D Hunter. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked the video, press like below. If you have anything you want to say with the video, add to the comment section. If you want to see additional action figure reviews from me, press subscribe. I do appreciate if you do that. Once again, this is D Hunter. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll talk to you guys real soon.